regular meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. Obviously, been a lot has transpired in this country and in this state since we last were in this room in a meeting. So I want to ask you to join me in a word of prayer, and if you would, there in your seats, let's just pray for our community and our state and our country this morning. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this time that you've given us together here this morning. And Lord, we do ask you to watch over us and protect us. And Lord, we know that no matter what this virus is or what it does, we know that you are in control, and that if we'll just trust you, we'll be in your hands and we'll be okay. And we thank you for that. And Lord, I do ask you to guide us and lead us through this meeting. I ask you to be with our state leaders and officials as they have to make decisions. Lord, I ask you to be with our president and the leaders of this country as they have to make decisions that affect the entire country here. And Lord, we just give you all the praise and the honor and glory for all things. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I look around the room and I don't think we have anyone here for public comment. Reverend Lee, how are you doing today? So that being the case, we'll move right into our regular business. Gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the minutes of our March 3rd fiscal court meeting, I just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
Motion.
Got a motion by Scott and a second by Myron.
Scott Preston.
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downey.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Mason Barr.
Yes.
Sorry.
I don't say that. Okay. All right. All right. So, gentlemen, the next three items are all second readings of ordinances that we had affirmative votes on in our last meeting, but we'll go through these one at a time. Next on the agenda is to review and approve the second reading and passage of fiscal year 1920 budget amendment ordinance number 6, being ordinance number 220.213. So I need a motion and a second.
Motion moved.
Motion by Nate.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any questions or discussion? Okay, Pam.
Nathaniel Downey.
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Scott Preston.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Mason Barr.
Yes. The next one being to review and approve second reading and passage of ordinance number 230.27, which is simply an administrative code revision. Need a motion and a second to approve that ordinance.
So moved.
Motion by Myron. I heard a second by Nate before I got you, Scott. Any discussion or questions?
So is it Thurman and Downey?
Thurman and Downey, yes. Scott was a close third.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downey.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Scott Preston.
Yes.
Mason Barr.
Yes. All right, then finally is to review and approve second reading and passage of ordinance number 230.28, which is a revised code of ethics ordinance. Need a motion and a second for that one.
Motion.
Got a motion by Nate, second by Scott. Any questions or discussion? Okay.
Nathaniel Downey.
Yes.
Scott Preston.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Mason Barr.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is to review and approve Resolution 2020-03-17, KOHS, authorizing the FS Fire and Rescue grant application for SCBA, Chief SCBA.
The self-contained breathing apparatus.
Thank you.
Apparatus.
Thank you.
So, just a quick note, in the budget meeting where we were discussing the air cylinders, the needed replacement, this grant, we have applied for bottles and pads.
Okay, so this would help in that regard. So we just need, does this require any signatures?
Yeah.
It does, so we would need to authorize the resolution for this grant application and authorize the judge to sign the application. Motion by Scott.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question or discussion?
Scott Preston,
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. All right, next would be to review and approve the UK Safety Circuit Rider Program. It would be to approve, authorize participation and authorize the county judge to sign the documents that are needed to participate. Basically what this is, the state will provide signage for 2 roads in the county. And if y'all seen, they gave us a list of roads, and the road superintendent has said that actually Roark Road and Peden Mill Road would be to our best advantage to identify those 2 roads as the roads that would most need the signage on those. And I think it's up to $5,000 worth of signage that the state will provide to us for those.
They put them up.
I think we have to install them. They just provide the signs to us.
That's Roark Road and Peden Mill Road, right?
Roark and Peden Mill were the roads that Bobby identified as being our biggest need for the signage, like what this program entails.
Is that the number of signs, like Peden Mill, is that 9 signs on that road?
That was the number of accidents on those roads.
Oh, the accidents, okay.
But what about all the riding and, I mean, they already decided the signs and all that?
Well, Bobby, you want to speak to it some?
They come down with 1 or 2 people, and they'll actually spend half a day, like our road department, they'll invite the city's department, and they go over things to look, kind of educational things. And then they take you out, and they ride these roads, and they show you what to look for and make suggestions. It's more of an education type thing for the departments.
Okay.
So there was 12 accidents on, Steel Road?
According to the state data.
They didn't clarify what that is, so I'm wondering, is that taken in consideration every time one of those trucks gets hung up on the corner of the road?
Okay.
And you also have,
Which is possible.
say, from behind Cracker Barrel 31 is the city. So any fender benders or something happens in that area would be reported on
The
it.
only reason I was asking, I mean, there's 9 reported on Peden Mill and 12 on Steel, so I was trying to...
And of course, to Bobby's point too, from 31W to Cracker Barrel, Steel Road City,
Yeah,
and
that's
then it
just a
changes
little
to county.
short jag there.
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of those wrecks happen there at that intersection or in that curve as you're going through that congested area there.
They encourage you to pick roads that you can get the best bang for your buck for them helping the signage too.
So there's
They're saying
probably more riders on Peden Mill than there is Steel, I guess.
more what?
More bike riders, or just riders on,
I mean, the traffic count would be higher on Steel, but the place that would be needed for signage, you got a longer area, more curves and that type of thing.
okay.
Any other question, discussion? All right, we need a motion and a second to enter this agreement and authorize the judge to sign the documents necessary.
So moved.
I don't know who was first or second over there. I heard
I'll second it.
Marty and Nate. So Marty made the motion, Nate seconded.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Lawrence.
Yes. Next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review, we need to approve employee resolution number 2020-03-17 EMP. This is for 2 seasonal employees that help during the mowing season from April 1 to October 31.
So moved.
Marty made the motion, Myron second. Any question, discussion? Okay.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Mason Lawrence.
Yes. All right, gentlemen, if y'all recall, we had to put the Loving Chapel Road resurfacing out to bid as part of this grant application for this chrome rubber asphalt grant. So we had a bid opening Friday, had two bids. You see both of those bids. Obviously, Scotty's being the lowest and best bid. So what we would need is to accept the bid for the Loving Chapel Road resurfacing project contingent upon receipt of the chrome rubber grant. If we don't receive the grant, then obviously we're not going to proceed, but we had to put it out to bid, and then we have to accept one bid or the other, but it'll be contingent upon receiving the grant money.
When is this, well, I'll go ahead and make a motion, then I got a couple of questions.
All right, so we got a motion, we got a second?
Second.
Nate made the second, now questions?
When is the timeline on doing this, Bobby?
We'll put it into this fall.
Okay, this fall, okay.
The specs for the bid sheet, I think can't remember the exact dates, but we did like from August to October.
Well, I think I seen on Dewey's is where it said May or something. Yeah, work to be completed by 5/1/2020. The reason I asked is because, that spot where we've had that issue there with Buddy, I talked to him yesterday, and he has the intention of hauling 200 to 300, maybe 400 more loads of dirt out of there to build some paths with. And I would hate to see this road get paved and then automatically have 300 or 400 trucks coming out on it.
That
And-
extra money will have to be budgeted next year out of our asphalt.
Okay. And another thing, is there anything about putting another tile under the road to get the water out of the way before it's
I told
paved?
them we were gonna do that, but I wasn't gonna do it until they solved the problem coming out of the drive.
Okay, well, they're trying, if it had been dry, you just hadn't had a chance to do it. They're trying to work, I wanted to work with everybody so that, because I would really hate to pave a road and then have that many loads come out on it, because as you can see from Gold City Road, they didn't last very long when all those trucks started running on
The
it.
bid, it stated this fall.
Okay,
It had a date on it.
well, that'll be good. That'll be good.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, Pam.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Lawrence.
Yes. All right, moving on to financial business. If you had an opportunity to review the budget transfers, we would need a motion and a second to approve those transfers.
Motion moved.
Got a motion by Nate,
Second.
second by Myron. Any questions or discussion? Okay,
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Lawrence.
yes. Next is if you had an opportunity to review the bills and claims, we just need a motion and a second to approve those claims.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any questions, comments?
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Mason Lawrence.
Yes. And finally, under financial business, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the February 29th, 2020 financial statement, We would need a motion and a second to approve those, subject to audit, and authorize the treasurer and judge to sign those documents.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Myron and a second by Nate. Any questions?
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Preston,
Yes.
Mason Lawrence,
Yes. All right, moving on into reports. I will try to make mine as brief as possible here, but as I said when we started, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks since we last met in here. One of the things, and at some point I may get Bob to even come up and help talk about some of the things that I feel like we need to discuss today. But this whole coronavirus, COVID-19, everyone is trying to take precautions. The state and federal government are putting out mandates and guidelines that we look to follow. Things are getting pretty serious when the governor puts out an order to close all restaurants and bars to everything except for curbside or drive-through service. So that situation is pretty serious. And when I say it's pretty serious, when he does that, and I've not heard any great public outcry or backlash because of it either. I mean, usually if government bodies do something that the public thinks is crazy, you start hearing a bunch of crazy stuff, social media blowing up, and I can't believe it. I'm not hearing any of that either. So I think everyone is kind of taking this pretty serious. So Bob, Emergency Management Director, he put together a COVID-19 coalition here in Simpson County to start figuring out plans and procedures what we would do and not do. Obviously, he's on that committee, myself, city manager, the sheriff. We have 2 local doctors on it, a representative from the Franklin Medical Center, the head of our local health department, a representative from the regional health department, and the head of our ambulance service are all part of that commission. And actually, we'll have a phone conference at 12:30 today, that group will, to discuss anything that's happening or going on in Simpson County. And I think we'll have those conferences every Tuesday, every Friday, for at least the near future here, and maybe even another day if there's something arises that we need to discuss, we will get together at least by a phone conference. The good thing is there currently still are no confirmed cases in Simpson County nor in the Barren River region as of yet. You're hearing talks of people being self-quarantined and tests being done, but we still have had no positive tests. But I guess we've got to be prepared for an emergency and what we need to do. As such, the governor also put out an order to our local PVA to close that office to the public. So beginning tomorrow, the PVA will be closed to the public. Also, beginning tomorrow, the county clerk's office will be closed to the public. I guess as it pertains to closing any other county buildings, that's the jailer has already put some procedures in place at the jail. The sheriff will do what he deems necessary at the sheriff's office. They have tax collections they have to do. The good thing there is, as he and I talked, is they obviously have a glass panel there if people come in. But as far as the public coming in and out of the sheriff's office, the sheriff will handle that. The only other building that remains would be really, I don't think you have much public traffic at the county barn, do you, Bobby? Would be here at the courthouse, and our primary traffic is people coming in to pay occupational taxes or picking up building electrical permits. We had just a real brief discussion this morning before we come up as to how we should handle that. I guess, and I've still got some more things to discuss after this, but I'll ask you guys this question. If we can come up with a plan to keep a method to still receive those payments and still get people their permits, if we close off the county offices here in the courthouse to the public, does any of y'all see or know of or have a problem if we can figure out how to still accommodate the public?
No problem.
I do have a question about the clerk's office. There's a lot of farm tax that are due the end of this month. If they don't get in tomorrow to pay them, and it's still closed after the end of this month, what will happen?
Well, the clerk did tell me that she's going to try to make a call to as many of the farmers as she can today. Also, I would guess, according to what she's saying, and I don't know, are there late penalties to getting it paid?
But you won't have your license plate will be expired.
Well, and we talked to the sheriff about that, and we'll talk to the city police about it, that with that.
I mean, I'm gonna go pay mine today because I didn't know.
But with that being the case, we're gonna try to back off of citing anyone with a fine if they don't.
Because if you try to get everyone, Michelle's been at that office.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't get them all in there today, it'd be.
So if they can't get in today, I just hate for somebody, if this would have been known, they had 3 days or something, it would be a lot better, but only having basically
an 8-hour day.
8 hours for every farmer in the county to come in and redo, that's a pretty good chore, isn't it, Michelle, to ask of that office?
And a lot of the farmers have a bunch.
Yeah.
Some of the stacks are like that big.
Marty, for what it's worth, I can assure you, if it comes into, district court during this time, that's nothing's gonna happen to them. Those aren't gonna go anywhere.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
we're not going to start penalizing people when they don't have the ability to do. Of course, obviously they can do online, but then there's a lot of people that just don't operate online.
Exactly.
And that's a fact too. I mean, it doesn't matter how many things are available online. Some people just don't do business online.
Exactly. Okay, that was my only concern.
Is there a time frame on this, or is it gonna be?
But I have no problem with what you were talking about in this office. If people feel, I just hope that if people feel sick or think they are, they would stay home anyway.
Absolutely. The most amazing thing to this whole thing, I'll get to you, Carter, is that it took what has been declared a national pandemic to finally get the American public to realize we need to practice good hygiene. If you feel sick, stay at home. You need to keep your hands washed. Don't be sneezing and coughing on people. Do it into your sleeve, not into your hands.
I've yet to figure out why they all need to buy toilet paper, but
at any rate, the aisles at Walmart are empty for toilet paper.
why ain't you working that?
Yeah. So Carter, you had a
Get used
question?
eventually.
Planning and zoning, we do a lot of public hearings, a lot of open meetings, board of adjustments, and commission. What kind of protocols do we need to have in place for that kind of thing now?
Well, my recommendation is they're semi-judicial hearings. What we're doing is, unless it's an emergency, we got people in jail, they get continued. And so my recommendation is that, at least for this month, and see how we go in April, you postpone. And I know that's not going to make the builders and a lot of developers happy, but I'm just saying, when you get a bunch of people, the whole point of this exercise is to keep from, technically speaking, we're in violation right now. We don't even have a whole lot of choice right now. So that's my recommendation.
And here going forward, if we discussed that because of spring break and the county treasurer was going to be out, that we would cancel that meeting and then have a special call on the 31st. But here's our problem here. I mean, we have to meet at certain intervals if for no other reason, the bills and claims, to authorize the payment of
Pay the bills.
these and we have to meet in person. We can't meet telephonically because you can't phone in a vote. So we have to meet in person. And if we hold a meeting, we cannot tell the public you can't come to the meeting.
Hopefully, if they didn't have any good reason to be here.
Well, no offense, I don't see any real members of the general public here today. Everyone here is here because they official capacity.
Yeah.
I did have 3 people call me yesterday and ask about, could they still come to the meetings? And and some of us came to the meeting on a regular basis, and I told them they could, but if they were sick, not to.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
So
We can also control that because we all know that there are certain topics that are more controversial and more, lend themselves more to people showing up than others.
And we can hold those off.
And I might suggest on those, we postpone those for at least a month or two and see things calm down a little bit.
Well, let's hope and pray, other than discussion about how to handle the coronavirus, that we don't have any of those type of discussions, that we have to fill the courtroom with people that are aggravated or upset. But I'm with you. If we have a controversial issue, we should just postpone it unless it's an absolute emergency type issue. So we'll figure out, the answer to the question is, then we'll figure out here internally what we should do here at the courthouse, and we would have at least a 24, if not a 48-hour notice to get out what we're going to do. I don't know. I did get a phone call right before I come into the meeting that Atmos Energy here in town is closing down their offices to the public, and they're asking all of their employees to work from home if necessary. So, we've got Kentucky Downs that voluntarily suspended operation for the next 2 weeks. Obviously, the school is basically closed for a month, starting with this week. And the Chamber of Commerce has canceled all activities and gatherings for the remainder of the month. Their openings, ribbon cuttings, all of those type activities have been canceled. So it's an unprecedented time. But I think the hope is, and I'm not saying this is a number, but I think the hope is that if, say, here in the state of Kentucky, if we were going to have 1,000 cases of the coronavirus, the hope is what we're doing is that all of those 1,000 cases don't spike in like just a few days or a week time, that those 1,000 cases would be over a period of time, because quite honestly, some of the medical facilities wouldn't be prepared or equipped to handle a big spike in people needing that type of attention. Would that be an accurate assessment, Bob?
That's a pretty good explanation of it.
Okay. So, just a little bit of a different time right now.
I know the Ohio Valley Insurance, I called them yesterday, they're doing all their work from home too, so
Yeah.
I don't know how the rest of the insurance offices are doing, but they're doing. I just like to encourage everyone, to still do as much local small business as possible. There's a lot of these restaurants that have closed down, and they need to, if they offer carry out and you want to go out and eat, if you don't want to cook at home, you want to still go out and eat, go to as many of the local owned as possible. And remember, those servers and those waiters and waitresses in there, they depend on tips. So, if you can compensate them because I'm afraid this will bankrupt a lot more people than it will kill.
And
That's my biggest fear, the whole thing.
Yeah, it definitely will have a tremendous economic impact in a negative way.
Yes.
on lots of people. And I'm not trying to plug any individual business, but I just recall seeing this on a Facebook post. A restaurant that does not have a drive-through facility made a post.
Yes.
that will, if you call, will deliver to the curb to you.
Yes, so that's the only thing I say, just try to support as much of the locally owned small businesses as everyone can, just until we get through this situation.
So, any other thing, Marty? I was fixing to defer to the magistrates. Nate, you have anything?
No, because my meeting has been postponed.
Okay. Is it everybody? Yeah. Scott?
We just had a small budget meeting before this meeting this morning. There'll be more of that here in the near future too, so.
And to kind of a point to that, as Nicole and I were discussing yesterday, the most serious thing, as Marty said, was the impact to the employees that count on that job. But as we see a lot of business shut down, it will also have an impact to the revenue received here.
Yeah.
So we just need to bear that in mind as we go forward.
So,
Myron?
No, everything's been said. I would like to say one thing is that people need to hear about the governor's request, but also please don't panic.
Yeah.
We don't need to have a panic pandemic. We just don't need to do that. We need to do what we need to do. Please don't panic.
You caused me to think of something that I've forgotten, but I think we will do it. I think it's warranted here. After this meeting, I will sign a declaration of emergency for Simpson County. Not because there is a case, but as Bob and I, we talked yesterday, then we conversed again last night. Bob sending me messages and said, I'm sorry to be bothering you. I said, Bob, this is what I signed up for. You call me anytime. Signing the declaration of emergency would put us in line. If we have a confirmed case, or if in preparation we expend revenues that we normally would not expend, the declaration of emergency would put us in a position to hopefully be able to get some of the state and federal help that was going to be offered. So just talking with Bob and then the other county judges, I know Warren County done it yesterday. Judge Harper from Allen County called me this morning prior to our meeting here. He says they intend to file a declaration today. Honestly, I would expect all 120 counties to have a declaration of emergency signed, simply because you think when the governor orders the shutdown of all restaurants and bars across the state, that's serious.
Not to mention closing the school, all schools.
Right.
All schools, anywhere that's daycares, but that's gonna cause a problem too.
So if anyone asks, absolutely, today we will, Simpson County will have a declaration of emergency signed. Counselor?
Yeah, Jailer Vaughn, could I borrow you for a minute, please? Chief Deputy gave me this last week from Divine Hope Communications. If we're going to need to have a judge sign that, could you tell, because the judge has to sign, fiscal court has to approve it, could you tell them what this, it's an amendment?
It's an amendment to our original contract.
Okay. Yes. You might want to remind them what these folks, these people do for the jail.
It don't. It's never in the hole.
You got the karaoke machine out.
We can get some music going for you if it is.
Yeah.
What this is just an amendment to our contract that we previously have in existence, and this is to approve another revenue generator into the jail. They're called, don't laugh,
I'm not laughing.
they're called Chirpies.
Call what?
Chirpy. Not Tweeties, but Chirpies.
They're called Chirpies.
All right, dude.
And these Chirpies are what they are is a communication device, and we will draw revenue over. Actually, the Chirpies are no different than really an iPhone, and each one of the residents there, inmates, they can have their own Chirpy, and they can communicate from the outside in, and we pull revenue off of each one of the texts, the communications, both ways. So
You all get access to the community,
and we have access to everything that comes in and goes out on a database.
might be interesting to have that knowledge.
That might help our local law enforcement also, if we need it. We've got something similar to that going on right now that's through the kiosk, but this is more of a personal thing to them.
So there's no actual cost to the county for this. It's just an agreement that the court has to approve and the judge has to sign.
Correct.
And it will produce some revenue
We hope.
to,
That's the intent.
okay.
This is an amendment to the previous contract.
But even if it doesn't produce revenue, it doesn't cause any expenditures.
Correct. They guaranteed me that it wouldn't cost us anything. So regardless,
What's the complete name of the company with which this is?
combined public communications.
You can explain it a lot better than I could. Sorry to drag you up here.
All it is they rent an iPhone or a Chirpy, and you know they can communicate from the inside out, and we can channel everything that goes on. So we can use it as an investigative tool, but it's a money generator also.
So,
And they're using these across the state of Kentucky in many other jails, and they're saying it's bringing in more money. So
Also, I'm sure it probably helps morale when they can talk to mama or girlfriend or kid or whatever on the chirp.
the biggest positive to it, other than the revenue, is everybody that we've talked to that has these Chirpies inside their facility say it's just there's no problems. All they do is lay on their bunks and text all day long, and I mean,
so that could be a pretty good generator for money. So if that works out that way, will we have information on how much money that's generating?
I mean, everything, it'll be generated to the commissary, but you get a report on that anytime you want it. You don't even have to have a meeting to come see.
Here's the question I have.
Yes, sir.
Will there be charging stations for these phones, or are you gonna allow
Yes, sir.
cords in the?
No.
Okay.
They're gonna be charging stations. Lieutenant Drake and I have been talking about that, and we've got that lined out to where it'll work. It's pretty neat.
Because I mean, my point to that is, I'm just not sure that having charging cords out in a facility would be wise.
The worst thing that we got in there with it, as far as cord goes, is a hot pot, and that's a privilege to them, and hot pot, a coffee maker. I mean, to them, they police themselves because they want that hot pot so they can make their noodles and stuff like that. If they don't have that hot pot, guess what? It's not really good. So they police themselves on that. That's the only cord, really, other than the TV that we've got in there. I'm not adding fuel to the fire, but that's a good question. You got anything?
Any other questions or concerns, or
Not about this, but after we vote on this, I got a question.
No.
do what now?
I said I don't have any questions on that, but after we vote on this, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Will this create, as far as obviously somebody will monitor all this. Are you gonna do that with the staff you got? It's not gonna require anybody else?
No, it'll be, here's another good thing, when they want those Chirpies off at charging station, it's also a good identifier. You know, John Doe as well, because he came up and he got his Chirpy this morning, and we got a log of it. So it's kind of a good thing to monitor with our.
Well, there's many people, it stays on their iPhones. I mean, I don't know what the charge is gonna be, but I can see this could be a pretty good stream of revenue.
I actually think it's, we get like 2 cents a text. That don't sound like much, but when you got 300.
You're getting them both ways, coming and going?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so here's the question. Where does that revenue come from, and what happens if the source to pay for those texts?
It comes from CPC and the families of the residents.
Okay, so if you have a family and, okay, they at 2 cents a text, they build up a $50 bill in a month's time.
It's prepaid.
Okay, but, so, it's prepaid?
Yeah.
So they can only use it if there's money loaded into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not operating on credit.
Okay.
They learned that lesson a long time ago.
All right.
We need to make sure there is a way to sanitize, those things as they, and I know you can't hardly get any.
We're fortunate too. We've got some industrial sanitation chemicals, and Lieutenant Drake, we saw this coming, this whole situation coming prior to, and I asked him, I said, I want at least 3 weeks worth of stuff. Y'all probably saw that in your bills going up a little bit. Why are you buying all this stuff? Well, now we're in a spot where we're having trouble hitting stuff, so, we planned ahead for this. And we've got plenty of sanitizer. We've got, actually, we pulled, our state road crew, Deputy Martin, we pulled him off. Of course, they can't do anything to keep him in a job and keep him working. He's actually taking a crew, a deputy, or a crew of inmates, and they are sanitizing everything. I mean, and when I say sanitizing everything, I'm talking rails, floors, baseboards, you name it. They're scrubbing vehicles. And Sheriff, if you need anybody, we can send them down here too, just let me know. But anyway, we're taking appropriate measures for all that.
All right, if no other questions or discussion here, we need a motion
To grant this, or to approve this amended contract, or contract amendment and authorize you to sign it.
Thank you.
So, second.
Motion by Myron, second by Nate.
Myron Henry,
Yes.
Nathaniel Young,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston, Mason Morris.
Yes.
Thanks, Eric, appreciate you.
Okay, now my question. With all the limited access that you are having at the jail, how is this affecting the SCORE program? Are you still, I mean...
That's a good question. You know, good question. The governor called us directly, all 120 jailers, and we all talked about our concerns, how to slow this thing down. Apparently, that we are one of the most vulnerable agencies in the state. He basically gave us the authority to shut everything down if we wanted to, and basically that's what we've done across the state. Just, of course, you know, crime's going to happen. I actually put it out on Facebook, please don't don't commit your criminal activities during this troubled time, as a joke, but anyway. The sheriff and the chief have been working with us. We have a meeting, or several meetings, and, you know, they're citing people. If it's a citable offense, they're citing, which totally makes sense, and Sheriff, I do appreciate it. His hands are tied on certain things. They have to, we take the necessary precautions, you know, temperature, the questionnaire, everything there. With the exception of that, the work crews, I hate it for our community, because they contribute a lot of manpower, and you know this, not only to the city, but the county and state. We have no choice. The governor said shut her down, so we have shut it down. The SCORE program, which the SCORE program is where the inmates work public jobs. We did go, let me back up. That was an exception. But we took appropriate measures. We went to the factories to see what kind of precautions they were taking as far as how they were dealing with their staff. They were taking the necessary, the ones that we have employed out in the public sector, those factories are taking the appropriate measures just like we are. So not only are they getting it at their, you know, workplace, but once they come back in, they have to go through a whole different sanitation, you know, type scenario. So we are taking appropriate measures there.
The only thing that worries me is that, you know, we've all been asked not to be in places of 10 or more. They're going to factories with maybe 150 or 200. We get one case of that brought back into that jail, and we're gonna, it could be
You're exactly right.
serious.
You're
I
exactly
would
right.
think the best measure would be either to, and I don't want to punish those guys, but either to stop that program or have a certain part of that jail just for those SCORE employees, that they cannot be in contact with any of the rest of the inmates.
We do have them
If you
down.
could quarantine that group of folks into their own area.
Like I said, I don't want to punish anybody, and I think it's a great program. It helps them get out, and it helps them have something when they do end their sentence. But I'm just thinking there could be some kind of liability on the county if one person goes out and they interact with somebody at that job and come back and infect that, you know, it
What about
started
the
in
guys
that
that come
jail.
out of the meth houses that they bring in?
I
They're the ones that's more.
But if you're stopping a work crew that's picking up trash on the side of the road because of the coronavirus, I would think the risk of somebody getting it is a lot less there than going to a public workplace. That's my opinion. You know, you're the jailer, you're gonna accept the responsibility for it.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I don't disagree. Keep in mind, now we're not the only one doing the SCORE. There's like 8 other jails in the state that are doing the SCORE. Now, when we had this phone call, we also talked to DOC, which controls the state inmates, all the way up to the secretary. And they said that is the only exception. I mean, that's coming up at state level. That's not a local, that's not a regional, that's a state level conference. So, I mean, and it's recorded because it was online too. So, I mean, that's there too.
I just wanted to express a concern on that.
Oh, there's concern. There's concern when we walk into the building.
I understand.
There's concern. I mean, if you want to know how concerned, we had one come from Bourbon County to pick one up that belonged to Bourbon County because we told them we wanted them out. You know how we handled that? Walked out the cellar court. There's your paper. There's your property. Don't come in the building. So we're taking appropriate measures as the best we can. We took one over to Muhlenberg County yesterday because he belonged to Muhlenberg County. He was on our dime, and we were paying for him. Took him over there you go, and never went into the building. I don't know what else to do. Because what's going to happen is, when the sheriff has, or the chief or sheriff, whatever, has to arrest somebody, and there's a warrant there, it says you shall arrest. He has to do his job. Guess what? It's a warrant out of Logan County. Now the jailers are talking like, if we've got your inmate, we're going to keep them. If you got ours, you're going to keep them. Guess what? We get a whole lot of traffic off I-65 that belongs somewhere else, and we're paying that bill. So I mean, we're kind of in a unique situation, and we're kind of stuck at we're doing the best we can. Yesterday we got out a lot to make room just for the just in case factor.
I wouldn't say you weren't doing the best you could do.
I appreciate that, but this has turned it's chaos. This has turned into a chaotic type situation.
I bet the percentage of the ones that have gotten stopped have, the ones that claim they have coronavirus has tremendously increased too.
We have, knock on one thing, good Lord above, we have. Don't say that.
I wish you hadn't said that. You're gonna conjure it up like an old
Yeah,
man.
it's just like that's going to happen tomorrow, or it might this afternoon. But I mean, seriously, we put out. I can't tell you how many got out yesterday. Sam may have an idea, but it was coming off of both courts, and we were putting them on ankle monitors and everything else to get them out of the building, so we don't have the liability.
So, Marty, did he answer your question?
Yeah.
Jailer, you got anything else?
I think that was my cue to go sit down.
Pretty much.
Appreciate it.
Sheriff, you have anything you'd like to share with us today?
No, unless you have a question.
No question at all. Chief, you have anything?
I could say that.
Carter, anything, planning and zoning? Bobby, anything, the road department? Just know I love you, Jailer.
This is just information. Just wanted to recognize one of our employees. Last week, we tore the Ditmore building down, got that done. But while we were doing that, Anthony Nichols works for us, one of the last ones we hired about a year and a half ago. He came to me and said, I can get rid of this metal. And he contacted, I let him do it, he contacted the company in the office. They brought 3 dumpsters. They loaded the metal, or he loaded the metal. And actually got a check for $550 for that metal. So that only made that money there, but it probably saved us about 4 dumpsters, because they're smaller, that we were paying $500 a piece for. So about $2,500 was saved, and that was all on Anthony.
Yeah.
He came up with the idea, and he initiated, he came to me, and he took care of it. He made the call, I just let him handle it. So I just wanted to let you know sometime, I appreciate people like that doing that work, and a lot of times we don't realize what happens, that he saved the county some money, so.
And Bobby too, I mean, I've told most of them that I've seen, but let your crews know, they done an outstanding job. In 3.5 days, they had that mess down and cleaned up and done a heck of a job.
They work well.
Yeah. Bob, or have we said enough right now?
That means no.
I don't know, everything's been said so many times. I guess I just want to take a minute to reiterate a couple of things. And we've been saying this since the very beginning of this thing, don't panic. I don't know what caused the nationwide run on toilet paper. I understand the hand sanitizer, I really do, but I don't understand the toilet paper thing. The federal government and the state has relaxed the hours of service on the trucking industry. The supply chains are still are open. The stores are going to continue to receive the groceries. The production hasn't been stopped, that kind of stuff. So,
and I think the 24-hour Walmarts, they're actually closing now at 11 o'clock to be able to restock, because they were having issues of people coming in the middle of the night and like grabbing stuff before they could ever get the shelves stocked.
Yeah, there's this, I said it in our meeting on Friday, this is unprecedented in all of our lifetimes. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Where things are happening that you can't imagine, and our people in this country, in this state, in our community are so. I seen this morning where a dollar store are opening up for 1 hour for the elderly, one of the highest risk groups in this thing. They're opening for an hour to let the elderly come in and get their groceries and stuff
without
they let anybody else
other public traffic.
So I mean, things are. We're a resilient country, a resilient community. There's a lot of chatter out there about this is just, the hype about this thing being a joke and it's a fluke and all that. We can't afford to take the risk. You did a good job explaining flattening the curve, and that's our health system, as good as it is, it can't handle a spike nationwide that we're facing. There's a lot of people that are really, really smart looking at this thing. They're getting educated by the countries where it's happened. China is almost completely rebounded now, where their cases are like hardly anything showing up. But I believe it was Italy yesterday was it 300 and some people in one day in death. So take it serious. It's a big change to our mindset on what we need to do, but it's also an opportunity to get back into family, to spend time with each other at a distance a little bit. I had a couple notes here. You guys covered a lot of it. I do want to again reiterate what you said. The restaurants that are changing their business model and opening up curbside service. We really need to. If you would have normally gone out to that restaurant and ate that night, order to go and go pick it up and take it home and eat it, enjoy it. They need that business. Stay vigilant, stay calm. Don't panic, we're gonna be fine. Be a good neighbor, check on each other.
Share
It's,
your toilet paper?
Yeah, especially if you've got lots of it, and there's people out there that apparently do.
It'll get used eventually.
As far as communicating, I just wanted to touch base on our coalition. The avenues of communication that we're gonna be utilizing is the judge's Facebook page, my emergency management Facebook page, and after today's meeting, I'm probably gonna utilize the AlertSense mass notification call out that I utilize once a month, to put information out. Those are, and the media, our local media, radio station and newspaper, those are really for our community about the best way to get the latest and greatest information, actual, factual information about what's happening. So, I also, I don't really know how to say it, how to praise this. There's a lot of conversation about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We don't know at that 4 weeks where we're going to be. So that is, I just want to put out there as a method of, again, don't panic, but this thing probably will stretch a little longer than that. But they had to put a benchmark in place so that we could see where we are when we get there. And there's not a lot of conversation about that. So if people are making plans that, 5 weeks from now, I'm gonna take my vacation I had to cancel, that may not be able to be the case. And I just wanted to put that out there. There's not a lot of talk about that. Everybody's so focused on what we gotta do long term. It came out this morning, they're pushing the Kentucky Derby in September. So, if anybody wants to really think about how serious it is, the NCAA shutting down, NASCAR shutting down races for the next 2 months, PGA, all the major sporting events.
Vegas is closed down.
I mean, if you just look and see what's happening, it's a serious situation. And it's all geared towards protecting a pretty small part of the population, but when that's all added together, as far as saving lives, the life safety part of this isn't specifically towards that 20%. The life safety is other people that could become involved in other stuff. Car accidents, broken legs, heart attacks, strokes, that kind of stuff. If all of the ventilators and all of the ICU beds and all that kind of stuff is taken up by people with coronavirus, there won't be those resources available. So the purpose behind all of the actions that we're going through right now is to flatten the curve, stretch this thing out, make it last, to reduce the stress on the healthcare system. So, and that's probably all I need to say right now.
Well, I appreciate your efforts, Bob. No, thank you. Bill, you're up next. Gentlemen, I think Bill probably laid a document in front of you about the jail roof.
All right, this is just going to be kind of brief. I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. You have before you the what I'm calling the jail roof project, phase 2. Phase 1 has been completed. If you look on page 1, this is our first proposal that I've got on the roof, and page 2 and 3 is actually the product that I'm planning on using. Page 4 is actually the picture of the roof sections that I've divided up into 5 sections, and will be the square footage is listed. So if you look back on page 1, the scope of work that Waterman is proposing, if you look down about the middle, of course, you'll have to remember that all this is going to be estimated again, because if we what I have projected here is over the next 5 years. Hopefully, if this other doesn't eat up everything, that we can actually start after July 1st on roof section A. The A is the worst part. Part of it had been coated in the original repair that we done because it had some bare fibers and stuff showing, so I'm hoping that after July 1st, and I'll leave that up all to the money people in the budget meeting. I just mentioned to the judge that we probably need to increase our other properties and funding so we can get these roof projects in, and reminding the court again that, every year all our equipment, everything is getting, wore out. We just replaced a unit down at the archives